What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Night Owl channel. In this video, I'll be counting down the top 10 leaders within the Dynasty Warriors series. So I'm going to be counting down the top 10, which I think are the best leaders within the game. You guys let me know down below. It's a pretty hard list to make, you know, deducing which character really led their kingdom or their squad or their unit the best and coming up with the best reasoning for each character being where they are. Before we jump into the top 10, I want to talk about one honorable mention that did not make the top 10, and that's going to be Sun Quan. So Sun Quan doesn't make the top 10. I think he'd be a solid number 11, but just looking at his story, you know, besides like the hypothetical stuff, but like mainly like historically or like, you know, some of the things that I've read about, he didn't seem to really get that many victories as a leader per se. A lot of the big victories that he was a part of was because of other people's efforts or strategy or things of that nature. You know, you got Chibi with, you know, riding the backs of Zhou Yu and Zhuge Liang's strategy. Yes, did he make the final decision to go to war, but, you know, it was because of Zhou Yu and Zhuge Liang's strategy that he was able to do that. And then, of course, with like Yi Ling, he was riding off the back of Lu Xun, who was basically the commander of that battle. So I think he's a solid number 11. He was the leader of the Wu Kingdom for so long. He had to have been included, but I just couldn't put him in the top 10 because I think the top 10 are just a little bit more significant versus him. And then, of course, you can also talk about other people like Gongsun Zan if you wanted to, maybe Lu Bu, you know, Ma Tang, those kind of warlords, Liu Biao, whoever you want, but they're not really worth mentioning as well. The games haven't even made them a playable character, but they do have significant moments within their respective times. But with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the top 10 leaders within the Dynasty Warriors series. As always, let me know what you guys think about my list down below.
Strength is the ability to make that what you believe in a reality.
Alright, starting off with number 10, we've got the man that the Wu Kingdom fears the most, Zhang Liao. And the reason that he is up here at number 10 is because of his stalwart defense at Hefei. So within the games, I don't think there's many other battles, maybe one or two outside of that battle that Zhang Liao is like the main commander for. But the Battle of Hefei, the main battle, outnumbered 1 to 10. Zhang Liao, Yue Jin, Li Dian, and a bunch of other units and soldiers are there defending tooth and nail, fighting off the Wu forces. Incredible, unfavorable odds. I mean, to the point, this stung so bad to the point when Zhang Liao was ill and actually sick and on the verge of dying. When Sun Quan went to go attack again, he was worried, even though Zhang Liao was sick, possibly impaired, unable to really be physically able to do anything. He was quoted to still be afraid that if Zhang Liao is there, we need to be weary. So that hesitation that Zhang Liao caused from him is enough to put him in the top 10 just from the Battle of Hefei alone. And I think that's why he's a good fit for number 10.
I was thinking about how it used to be just me doing our Lord.
Alright, coming up next at number 9, I think it's a good choice for Xiahou Yuan. Now, Xiahou Yuan coming in at number 9, I think is a solid choice. Of course, you have the Battle of Hanzhong, where Cao Cao takes over the Hanzhong commandery, leaves Xiahou Yuan in charge, and for a time, Xiahou Yuan holds off Liu Bei's entire army until, unfortunately, he ends up passing away. But before that, Xiahou Yuan really became recognized general within this period of time. When Cao Cao was splitting between the west and eastern side of the northern parts of China, South side was leaving a lot, you know, leaving Xiahou Yuan on the west. He beat somebody that was been causing trouble for over 30 years with no problem. He was putting down rebellions, having people surrender. I mean, he was quelling the western side of China really easily. Of course, Cao Cao comes back at some point in the Battle of Tong Gate happens. He's there, he's helping. But for the most part, it seemed like Xiahou Yuan was on his own with his troops, with his army, putting down rebellions, and I think that's why Xiahou Yuan deserves to be on this list. So number 9, Xiahou Yuan.
Then I'll fight to the last. They will pass through our lines over my dead body.
Alright, coming in at number 8, it might be a bit controversial, but when it comes to defense, this guy is the king of defending. We've got Cao Ren. I think he's a very underrated commander, a very underrated leader within the game. Not as much spotlight as I think some of the other characters do, but I think Cao Ren is a very solid leader, very solid commander, and there were several instances within the game and within history when Cao Ren is defending a location, it's looking bad, and he's able to turn it around and put it in their favor. Battle of Fan Castle, he's able to hold out till Shu Huang arrive. They win. Battle of Jiangling, after Battle of Chibi is happening, he's able to fend off the pursuing, Shu and Wu forces to keep Cao Cao safe. Within the game, Cao Ren has always been a character that I've always looked at as a representation of a good defensive commander. You can see in Dynasty Warriors 9, more of that commanding personality comes out. Fan Castle starting to flood through. We must keep our spirits high. We can do this. Cao Ren is 100% worthy of being in this top 10, and I think it's a solid choice for him at number 8.
Yes. All right then. I accept the position of Grand Commander, and I swear to destroy the traitor, Don Jiao.
Alright, coming in at number 7, we have Yuan Shao. Now, another character I think that is a little undercredited when it comes to being a leader and a commander, and even my knowledge on his feats as a commander is limited. I think Yuan Shao is a solid choice as a leader. There's no way that Yuan Shao is not a good leader, whether that be because of his nobility or whatever it is that attracted people to him. To build an army of that size, pretty much conquer the north, defeat Gongsun-Dan, defeat people around him and really quell the northern parts of China to the point where he was a legitimate threat to closing and ruling China under the Yuan name. Of course, at the Battle of Guandu, he ends up failing. It turns out really bad for him, and after that point, he kind of just dies and his whole clan kind of fades into existence. But I would say up until the Battle of Guandu, I think Yuan Shao was a really good leader and commander. He was the commander at the Battle of Hulao Gate, commanding all these soon-to-be famous warlords and officers, and he's the one rallying people under him. And I think Yuan Shao is a solid choice as a leader, solid choice as a commander. There's just no way he was able to accomplish and become who he was within history without having some sort of skill as a leader, and that's why I think he's a solid choice here at number 7.
What do you say you and I create a new empire, show you? Our empire.
Alright, coming in at number 6, we've got the Little Conqueror, Sun Ce. So Sun Ce coming in at number 6, he was obviously a very talented leader, very charismatic, at least within the games, able to inspire his troops, his officers to go to war, and really carried that through with a lot of the battles that he goes through, at least within the games. A lot of people are also have quoted to have said if Sun Ce actually didn't die so early, he probably would have been a major threat to like Cao Cao and Liu Bei to uniting China. Someone with that much talent, that much charisma, that much what he had as a leader to really inspire people and to quickly conquer things, and that's why he earned that name. It's just, I had to put him on the list. The only reason I don't put him up higher is because he died so early, right? There's no way to know what Sun Ce would have been except for, of course, the hypotheticals in the games, and then what people speculate what might have happened. But just from what we know, very charismatic leader, definitely deserves to be on here, and I think he's a solid choice before we hit the top 5.
I have no need for glory. All I wish to do is stamp out the sparks of conflict. Nothing more.
Alright, coming in at number 5, starting up the top 5, we have the Tiger of Zhongdong. A similar kind of scenario with Sun Ce. It would have been interesting to see what would have happened if Sun Jian actually lived longer than he did. He would have definitely caused more of a problem for Cao Cao. It wouldn't have been as easy. Would Cao Cao even have risen to the rank that he had if he didn't have to go against pretty much Sun Quan? Because after Sun Jian dies, Sun Ce dies pretty quickly, and the battles between Cao Cao and like Eastern Wu and all that doesn't really happen until Sun Quan takes over. But it is said Sun Jian was a magnificent leader, one of the greatest men of his time. He had comparisons to Sun Tzu. I mean, this guy was pretty much the whole package, and unfortunately he ends up getting, hit by an arrow, he gets killed, and unfortunately we don't get to see what Sun Jian would have done if he would have been a leader longer than what he was. Up until that point, we knew how famous Sun Jian was, what he was known for, the character that he developed, the person that he was, the people that he inspired and attracted to him because of who he was and what he was known for. And I think he is a solid choice in number 5. Again, I think he was a great leader among men, and we just don't know what would have happened if he survived longer than he did. But I think number 5 is a great choice for him.
Imbeciles are allowed to run free. That is the root of the problem.
Alright, coming in at number 4, he had to be here somewhere, and I think number 4 is a good spot for Sima Yi. I think Sima Yi is a great choice as one of the top leaders within the game because he is the one that initiates really the turning point of the Three Kingdoms, the falling of it, the unification of China. He's kind of the catalyst of all of that, whether the games decide to show that in a more evil and malicious way, or like in Dynasty Warriors 9, they take a more virtuous, respectful way of doing it. It was, after Cao Cao dies, after Cao Pi passed away, he's realizing that the current leaders are destroying everything that Sima Yi kind of cherished, right? He kind of cherished being a part of that and watching their vision come to life, and then he noticed that it's starting to go downward trend. And it takes a lot of courage and, of course, intellect and being able to inspire other characters and other people of merit to follow him into battle, rise up in rebellion against the kingdom that you pretty much have been a part of for so long, and then set up the future, your sons. So I had to include him up here. Definitely is a character I think worthy of being on this list, just because even if he doesn't directly have a leading or leadership effect on some of the other characters, that leadership effect is definitely directly given to Sima Shi and Sima Zhao, who ends up building basically the foundation of the end of the Three Kingdoms. And that's why I think Sima Yi is a good choice at number 4.
I must conquer the world.
Alright, top 3. I think this is a solid choice for Sima Zhao. So the reason that Sima Zhao is above Sima Yi and at number 3 is because he's pretty much the leader, the commander, the reason why the Three Kingdoms end. Being able to do that, being able to finally break the stalemate between the Three Kingdoms and tipping the balance of power in favor of them for the first time is impressive to say the least. He's got all these people coming together, cohesively working together, attacking Chengdu and bringing that to a close. And I think Sima Zhao definitely deserves to be in the top 3. Now, I would say his leadership skills in the beginning were quite lacking, especially the way they show it within the game, because he didn't even want to be a leader. He had no interest in being a leader. And even in moments under Sima Shi, I don't think anybody really expected much out of Sima Zhao. Like, they probably expected Sima Shi to live longer and rule the kingdom, whatever it is, but he ends up passing away, gets passed down to Sima Zhao, and he's just a mess. He's almost like a Sun Quan in the beginning. He's just kind of like, what do I do? How do I do this? What, who do I listen to? He had Jia Shang there, he had Wang Yuanji, other characters really helping him go in the right direction, but eventually Sima Zhao steps up into that position naturally and becomes a natural leader, a very intelligent, charismatic leader that is able to lead his troops to victory up until, he ends up passing away. But I think Sima Zhao is a solid choice here at number 3. I think he definitely deserves to be on this list. He definitely fulfills that role eventually, and he really takes charge of his kingdom and his destiny. And the people that are following him, I don't think have any quarrels with that, except for maybe like Zhuge Dan, and that's probably why he rebelled. Anyway, quelled that rebellion, right? Kept everything going, kept everything on track, even with the many rebellions he had to deal with, and he ended up tipping the balance in their favor towards the end of his story. So number 3, I think it's a solid choice for Sima Zhao.
For the people, I cannot retreat.
Alright, coming in at number 2, we have Liu Bei. Liu Bei coming in at number 2 is an obvious no-brainer. The talent he's able to attract to his side, the skills that he's able to do. I mean, within the games, he's probably not represented as well as he probably was in history. Like, I would say he's a little bit more underestimated, right? A little more reserved or quiet versus some of the other leaders like Sun Jian or Sun Ce or Cao Cao or Yuan Shao, right? Liu Bei is a different type of leader, at least within the games, but he's number 2 because of who he attracts to his team. How is somebody like Liu Bei able to attract Zhao Yun, the Benevolence Brothers, Zhuge Liang, right? All these big name characters coming to him and wanting to join him and building a land of benevolence. You can't be a bad leader and attract all these people to your vision. I think Liu Bei was an extremely smart individual, extremely intelligent, and I think he's extremely talented as a leader. Now, a lot of his feats I would say is similar to Sun Quan in terms of him listening to others on what he needed to do. But according to some of the things I read, Liu Bei is one of the few leaders who's on the front lines, or at least in the battle, and he's fighting. He's not behind. He's not allowing other people to do it for him. He's not ordering people around. From what I read, Liu Bei is a part of that. He's on the battlefield fighting, which means he has some sort of military skill. He has some sort of martial arts skill to lead his men or be a part of his men and go into battle. And that's why I think Liu Bei sits here at number 2. Not just because of the charisma, not just because of the intellect or the ability to attract people, but from what I've read, he was on the battlefield fighting with them and pushing towards his vision, whether it was benevolent or for some other reason in history. I think Liu Bei is a solid choice to number 2, and he only falls short to the number 1 character. And with that being said, let's go ahead and move on to the number 1 character.
I am a man. I shall live and die walking my own path.
Alright, coming in at number 1. Are you surprised? I don't think you should be, because it is the hero of chaos himself, Cao Cao. When it comes to leaders within this game, there is no one else like Cao Cao within the game. This guy has it all. But not only does he have the talents, the wisdom, the everything that people are really attracted to, he has the passion to be a leader. He has the passion and the care to really build and push for what he wants this world to be. And that's why I think so many people inside and outside the game are attracted to Cao Cao's personality, the way he is, what he does, because he is one of the few characters in the game that has so much passion in building a land and leading his people where he thinks they need to go. When things happen that are tragic and it's hurting and all these other, he loses Xiahou Yuan, he reacts in a logical and reasonable manner. Is he hurt? Most likely. He's probably devastated. He looks at the opportunity he has in front of him and he capitalizes on it. That's why Cao Cao is number 1. He is an opportunist and he knows how to lead a group of men into battle and inspire this kind of loyalty from some of the greatest generals within history. And I think that's why Cao Cao is up here at number 1. It's really a no-brainer. I can't say enough good things about how Cao Cao's leadership abilities were. And if you even want to stretch it that far, you can even say he's the reason that China becomes unified, because he attracts Sima Yi. I believe he visits him several times after Sima Yi refuses to come, but he recognizes his talents, he eventually persuades him, and puts his kingdom on the path to unification, and I think that's why Cao Cao is number 1. But that's all I have for the video, guys. Let me know what you guys think about my list down below. Did I miss anybody? Again, there's a lot of good leaders out there, but I think this is a solid choice for number 10, especially the way the game shows these characters within the game. You know, of course, the other ones I mentioned before, the minor warlords and everything like that, I'm sure had good moments, but the games don't highlight them that much, so it's hard to kind of really consider them for a top 10 list. But that's all I have for the video, guys. If you enjoyed it, definitely appreciate a like, comment, or subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video. Thanks for watching, everyone.